Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested by federal agents.
On the evening of September 16, 2024, Manhattan was rocked by the arrest of one of its most famous residents. Sean Diddy Combs, a name synonymous with hip-hop royalty and business acumen, found himself at the center of a legal storm. Diddy was taken into custody following an indictment by a grand jury on charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The indictment alleges that Combs abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. But the question that arises in the midst of all of these is how? How did Diddy, the bad boy for life, turn from the favorite rapper of many and an admirable business mogul to a man wanted, indicted, and arrested in such circumstances? Let's dive in to uncover the journey of Diddy from triumph to trials. The journey of Diddy's triumph and rise to fame is well known to everyone. While all these were happening in the light, there was much more happening behind closed doors. Much more that no one was talking about until her certain lady showed up in 2017. Her name, Cindy Rueda. Cindy was close enough to know Diddy in and out. She was his former personal chef who had begun working for Combs on weekends in January 2015 and was later hired to work full-time as the lead chef in his mansion. She was fired in May 2016 and filed a lawsuit against him in 2017, where she alleged that Diddy made her experience some horrendous sexual activities that went on in his mansion and frequently made her prepare and serve food to him and his guests while they engaged in sexual activity, which sometimes spanned into long hours. She accused Combs of sexual harassment, creating a hostile work environment, underpaying her, and wrongfully dismissing her. Diddy's lawyers described the case as frivolous, but the case was later settled in February 2019. As the Cindy debacle died down, Diddy thought his travails were over. He went about his business and all seemed calm until something seemingly unrelated to him happened in the state of New York. In August 2021, the state of New York elected its 57th governor. The election of this very governor was like no other because of many factors, the main one being that she is New York's first female governor. Before Governor Kathy Hochul became New York governor, women who were victims of sexual assaults, rape, harassment, and many more misconducts of that nature, who could not speak up at the time of the occurrence and later tried to speak up and file civil lawsuits against their assailants, could not do so because of the statute of limitation, which provided that such suits can only be brought within a period of 20 years. Before 2019, the limitation period for civil suits for sexual misconduct in New York was only 3 years. In 2019, New York extended the limitation period to 20 years, but this extension was not retroactive, which meant that it could not apply to people who were victims of such misconduct in the past. Upon her emergence as governor, one of the key issues she looked into was this very issue. In May 2022, 9 months of being in office, she signed the New York Adult Survivors Act. The law applies to survivors of sexual offenses that occurred when they were over the age of 18, with the 1-year window beginning from the 24th of November 2022 to the 23rd of November 2023. On the day the act was signed, she said,
"So those who thought they got away with horrific crimes they committed, I just have one message. Your time is up. Your victims will see you in court, and you will be brought to justice."
As the months ticked from November 2022 to December and across the year 2023, even up to a week to the November 23rd deadline, Diddy seemed not to be amongst those Governor Kathy Hochul referred to in her famous message to those who thought they got away with horrific crimes. Until another woman who knew him in and out did something that opened a new floodgate.
Is there anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in?
I keep everything right here.
R&B singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura was Diddy's girlfriend on and off for 11 years. And when she referred to keeping everything right in her heart, no one understood that she had a lot to confess until the breaking news of November 16th, 2023.
Singer Cassandra Ventura, whose stage name is Cassie, has sued music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, accusing him of rape.
In the lawsuit, all that Cassie kept in her heart was revealed. She claimed that Diddy had forced her into sexual encounters with himself and with male sex workers, which he recorded on video. threatened her for years, introduced her to drugs, and took control of her career and personal life. He regularly beat her and raped her when she attempted to end their relationship in 2018. Diddy's legal team again played the old script, this time more quickly. The very next day, November 17th, the suit was settled in terms that were never disclosed. After the suit was settled, Diddy's legal team issued a press statement where Ben Brafman reacted,
"Just so we're clear, a decision to settle a lawsuit, especially in 2023, is in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Mr. Combs' decision to settle the lawsuit does not in any way undermine his flat-out denial of the claims."
The statement was clear. Diddy didn't do it. Keywords, flat-out denial. As the less than 30-hour debacle with Cassie died away in the coming week, and the clock ticked towards that last hour of the 23rd of November, when the deadline for suits under the New York Adult Survivors Act, there was another breaking news. A lady called Liza Gardner raised new sexual assault allegations against Diddy through a lawsuit filed on that very day, where she claimed that he and R&B artist Aaron Hall assaulted her and her friend back in 1990 or 1991. According to the lawsuit, the incident took place after an event at MCA Records. An updated version of the suit was filed on March 12th. While Liza's breaking news was still in the air, another breaking news dropped. Joy Dickerson-Neal's allegations were grave as she accused Diddy of drugging and sexually assaulting her. The suit claims that Combs recorded the incident and shared the video with others, labeling it as revenge porn. The lawsuit contained details alleging that after taking Dickerson-Neal out for dinner, Combs drove her to a recording studio. He had intentionally drugged her, leaving her unable to exit the vehicle and in a state where she couldn't stand or walk on her own. She also claimed that Diddy then sexually assaulted her when they returned to an apartment. In response to the allegations, Combs denied everything in a statement to TMZ, saying, "This last-minute lawsuit is a prime example of how a well-meaning law can be misused." A representative added, "This 32-year-old story is fabricated and lacks credibility. Mr. Combs did not assault her, and she mentions companies that never existed. This is just a cash grab, plain and simple." When Diddy's legal battles resumed in 2024, they resumed with two cases which were not the typical man assaults woman case. In February, Rodney Lil Rod Jones made waves by filing a jaw-dropping $30 million lawsuit against Diddy, accusing him of sexual harassment, drugging, and threats. Rodney firmly stood by his claims right after Diddy filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit in the Southern District of New York on August 26th. Lil Rod has a history with Diddy, having spent a year living and traveling with him, and he even contributed to Diddy's 2023 The Love album. Now, Diddy's team is dismissing Jones's allegations of grooming and assault as pure fiction, suggesting that he's only pursuing the lawsuit to profit from his work with Bad Boy Records. In response to Diddy's claims, Jones called him a monster, stating he'll do whatever it takes to get what he deserves. "He doesn't take no for an answer," Jones said. "He told me himself, I'll smack my mama." Anyone who can say that, even as a joke, is a monster. He's not someone to mess with. In April, another twisty lawsuit was filed by a lady by the name Grace O'Mackey, who alleged that Diddy's son, Christian King Combs, sexually assaulted her while she was working on a yacht rented by Diddy. The suit accuses Diddy of creating the environment that led to the assault and of paying to keep it under wraps afterward. Grace, who served as a crew member and bartender on the yacht, claims that in late December 2022, Christian Combs pressured her into drinking tequila that she suspects was laced with drugs. He groped her and tried to force her into performing oral sex. The suit alleges that Sean Combs, who chartered the yacht during the 2022 holiday season, had complete control over the staff and the environment, allowing the assault to happen and even encouraging it. Grace, who was 25 at the time, recounted that when Christian Combs, then 24, came aboard one night, he seemed very drunk and started giving her unwanted attention. She mentioned that they were in a music studio on the yacht where producer Rodney Jones, who filed his own lawsuit in February, was instructed to be available at all times for Diddy to work on his upcoming album. Diddy and his team denied all wrongdoing. Diddy was getting used to his allegation, suit, and denial pattern when a certain video was published by CNN on May 19th.
The surveillance footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her.
Then flat-out denial became this.
I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I'm so sorry.
The second Cassie-connected incident, like the suit of November, opened another floodgate. On 22nd of May 2024, just 5 days after the Cassie assault video, there was another filing on the block, this time from a lady by the name Crystal McKinney. Crystal, a 22-year-old model at the time of the alleged incident in 2003, met Combs during a Men's Fashion Week event at Cipriani downtown in Manhattan. According to her lawsuit, Combs told her she was destined for greatness in modeling and promised to help her career. He later invited her to his studio, where one of his associates offered her a marijuana joint that Combs had mixed with a certain narcotic or other intoxicating substance. Despite McKinney being heavily intoxicated, Combs pressured her to smoke more and drink alcohol. He then physically led her to the bathroom, where he forced her to perform a sexual act. After the alleged assault, McKinney reported feeling dazed and later passed out in Combs' studio. She woke up in a taxi, realizing she had been sexually assaulted, and saved the clothes she wore that night in a plastic bag. Following the incident, she stated that her modeling opportunities vanished, believing Combs had blackballed her. The lawsuit mentions that she fell into severe depression, blaming herself for the assault and the impact on her career, and she feared retaliation from Combs. She is seeking unspecified damages for pain and suffering, along with punitive damages. While the McKinney case was still hot on the tabloids, another case was filed on May 23rd, the very next day, this time from a lady by name April Lamprose. In the suit, Lamprose accused Combs of 4 counts of sexual assault that allegedly occurred from the mid-1990s to the early 2000s. The complaint also alleges that the rap mogul committed battery, assault, caused emotional distress, and broke laws meant to protect victims of gender-based violence. The suit claims that Lamprose wanted to break into the fashion scene, and Combs had promised to guide her and introduce her to important people in music and fashion. However, it states that what Mr. Combs presented as kind gestures quickly turned into an aggressive, coercive, and abusive relationship centered around sex. In their first meeting in 1995, Lamprose says Combs pressured her into drinking at a bar in New York City, and later at a hotel, he forced himself on top of her while she was lying on the bed. She alleges that after begging him to stop, he raped her, leaving her nude, sore, and confused the next morning. In another incident, while in a parking garage near his Manhattan home, Combs reportedly grabbed her and demanded Miss Lamprose perform oral sex in front of a parking attendant. The lawsuit describes her as being in shock, feeling morally depleted, embarrassed, and in physical pain from Combs yanking her down and pulling her hair. After attempting to distance herself from Combs, he allegedly became angry and threatening, with the lawsuit claiming he took on a mobster persona that frightened Lamprose. One night in 1996, he supposedly forced her and one of his ex-girlfriends to take ecstasy at his apartment, then insisted they have sex. When Lamprose refused, Combs threatened to get her fired. In June, Derek Lee Cardello Smith filed a case against Diddy. The case involves a series of legal maneuvers and serious allegations. Cardello Smith, currently incarcerated, claimed that Diddy sexually assaulted him at a party in Detroit in 1997. The lawsuit led to a $100 million default judgment when Diddy failed to appear in court to contest the claims. However, Diddy's legal team successfully had the default judgment set aside. Diddy's attorney, David Fink, argued that Cardello Smith did not properly serve the lawsuit according to Michigan law. The judge also noted potential statute of limitations issues, given that the alleged incident occurred over 2 decades ago. Despite the temporary victory for Diddy, the case is not fully resolved. Cardello Smith has accused Diddy of attempting to quash the lawsuit by offering a $2.3 million settlement during a visit to the prison, a claim Diddy's team has denied. The next steps involve Diddy's legal team likely filing a motion to dismiss the case entirely. On July 3rd, another suit was on the tabloids. Sean Diddy Combs is facing a lawsuit from a woman, Adria English, who worked at Diddy's well-known Labor Day white parties. According to her allegations in the suit, she was pressured to use drugs and engage in sexual activities with guests. Adria says she started working for Combs in 2004 and alleges that she was gradually manipulated into sex trafficking. In early September, Dawn Richard, a former member of Danity Kane, filed a legal action against Diddy, alleging that he sexually assaulted her, denied her food and sleep, and didn't pay her fairly when she worked with him. According to her filings, she first connected with Diddy in 2004 after trying out for the third season of his MTV reality series, Making the Band. During the auditions, she alleges he insulted female contestants, calling them fat, ugly, and other derogatory names. Richard states that during the show's production and in the years that followed, she and her fellow band members were made to rehearse for up to 48 hours straight without food or rest. She reports losing a significant amount of weight and developing rashes from the microphone pack she wore while filming. In one incident, while exercising on the beach, Richard vomited, and instead of receiving medical help, the crew chose to film her instead, according to the lawsuit. In 2010, Richard was diagnosed with anemia, a low white blood cell count, and joint stiffness due to overuse, sprains, and infections like rheumatic fever and chickenpox. Dawn also opened the old Cassie Pandora again in her suit, where she alleged that she witnessed Combs physically abuse his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, multiple times, and that she saw him and his associates involved in drug use and sexual activities with underage girls. While these various civil lawsuits, which Diddy is rich enough to pay whatever monetary costs for, were flying in from all corners, Diddy was facing another different problem entirely. In November 2023, the federal probe into Sean Diddy Combs kicked off after several civil lawsuits surfaced, accusing him of serious misconduct, including sexual abuse and trafficking. A case of R&B artist Cassie was an opener of a floodgate of many other cases that followed, as other allegations emerged from a music producer and various women, all pointing to a pattern of abuse over the years. In March 2024, federal agents executed searches at Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami, collecting evidence such as firearms, ammunition, and electronic devices that contained incriminating information. On September 16, 2024, a sealed federal indictment was filed against Combs, accusing him of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting individuals for prostitution. On the same day, Combs was arrested and taken into custody by federal agents in the lobby of a hotel in Manhattan. His lawyer mentioned that Combs had been cooperating with the investigation and had moved to New York in preparation for the charges. The next day, September 17th, the indictment was made public, outlining serious claims that Combs exploited his business empire to enable and hide sexual abuse. The indictment outlined claims that Combs used intimidation, threats, and coercion to engage in sexual activities with sex workers, including orchestrating forced encounters with his former girlfriend, Cassie. It was alleged that Combs ran a network of abuse through his business dealings, taking advantage of his influence. Diddy was made to appear before the court. During his court appearance, Combs pleaded not guilty to the allegations. Although his legal team suggested a $50 million bond and home confinement with electronic monitoring, the judge refused bail, labeling him a potential flight risk and a threat to the community. The story of Diddy's potential inglorious end is unfolding, and the main question on many lips now is, will he go the way of R. Kelly, or will he walk free again? As these legal battles unfold, the music industry and the public watch closely. The outcome of these cases and the criminal indictment could have far-reaching implications, not only for Sean Diddy Combs, but for the broader issues of accountability and justice within the entertainment world.